Hello everyone, my name is St. Jimmy. Now there's a really good chance that you haven't heard about this series at all. I honestly haven't heard it talked about outside of advertising on the LCS broadcast. Essentially, Players is a mockumentary comedy drama following a fictional American League of Legends team called Fugitive Gaming, and it's created by the same people who did American Vandal. I don't think the show has done particularly well in terms of viewership because its subject matter is particularly niche and the streaming service it's on is not doing the best right now. Which is a shame because I think the show is really well put together and would not only be enjoyable for people who follow League of Legends esports, but for general audiences as well. But before I continue, I must say that this video will remain spoiler free for the most part, except for a small section towards the end where I don't see how I can give my opinion without them, but I'll let you know when we get to that. I think one of the main strengths of this show is that it's very aware of what it is. And esports drama is something which hasn't really been done before, but the show uses its subject matter as a vehicle to deliver thematic and character development really effectively. For example, esports has a reputation of being, to be blunt, kind of cringe, oftentimes filled with overly competitive yet ultimately pathetic egomaniacs who can't get a girlfriend, with the tournaments and teams themselves trying way too hard to be cool. Given that these stereotypes exist, there are a lot of ways that the show could go wrong. At worst, the show could fall into these stereotypes without being self-aware about it at all. Or, significantly better, but still not the best, it could ignore them to attempt to be a more mature show. But I'm really glad to say that the show does play into these stereotypes, but ironically. It simultaneously pokes fun at esports while embracing it. For example, the protagonist Cream Cheese. He's just so fucking cringe. Even the name, like what even is that name? The character is basically just the aforementioned stereotype of an esports player. He's a late 20s man-child who's played on this team since its inception. But the character is also really nuanced and well developed. The show spends a lot of time on this character, more so than any other character, and it's all really well done. In flashbacks, we see the complete journey of how this character became the way he is, how he ended up fulfilling these cringe stereotypes. And it's all just really well implemented and entertaining. The central narrative of the show is based around interactions between Cream Cheese and a new wonder child 17-year-old who's just coming onto the team called Organism. Also should say, these people have actual normal names as well, but in esports, players are often referred to by their online names rather than their real names. Anyway, these two characters, they just do not work together at all. Cream Cheese is too egotistical to acknowledge just how great this new player is, and finds it difficult to work with him. Which is understandable to an extent. Organism has played the game by himself up to this point, and he is absolutely fantastic at doing that, but he doesn't really know how to play as a team, or even really communicate with his teammates. Organism isn't exactly a humble character either. The show also does a good job of allowing general viewers who haven't really watched much esports to understand and enjoy the show. It does explain the game where need be, but more importantly, the actual meat of the content is not actually about esports. It's about the character interactions and development. In other words, this is a drama comedy about esports, rather than an esports show with elements of drama comedy. We also get a number of audience surrogate characters who represent those who don't really understand what's going on, including Organism's parents and the CEO of Fugitive Gaming. That said, this show absolutely deeply understands League of Legends esports. While this show can absolutely be enjoyed by people who don't, it contains jokes and references that enhance the experience of watching it for those who do. One of my favorite parts of the show is how it uses aspects of League of Legends to convey character development. For example, in the game, players pick from a selection of champions to play. and the specific choice of champions for specific characters are actually used to show character development. So yeah, a great balance of understanding its subject matter while also being accessible to general audiences. Now, I do have a number of critiques of the show. It isn't perfect. First of all, the comedy doesn't always hit. A lot of the comedy leans into the perceived cringiness of the topic, which I think is a great idea, but at times it can also be a little excessive. It also mixes drama and comedy together at times, and I don't think it's the best at that, which ends up making some of the more dramatic scenes less hard-hitting than they should be. That said, the show is still quite funny, it's just inconsistent. Alright, now we'll get into spoiler territory, so skip to this point in the video if you don't want to see that. I think some of Organism's character development, specifically its resolution at the very end of the series, isn't very good. Organism's character arc is about the young guy figuring out how to play for a team rather than playing for himself. Given that, why does he abandon the team to play solo at the end? I understand him leaving the team after they weren't taking Worlds as seriously as he did. That much makes sense to me. But then the fact that he joins Guru's project just to play solo queue again just defeats the purpose of his entire character arc. Which is really unfortunate because the rest of his character arc is really well done. It just falls apart at the very end. This also causes the final episode to be of a really volatile quality. I think things like Cream Cheese's Yumi monologue, at least the first one, wrap up his character arc really well, and is one of the best parts of the series as a whole. But then this episode is just dragged down because it contains one of the biggest problems with the entire series, that being the resolution of Organism's character arc. Alright, that's all for spoilers. To summarize, Plays is a really good esports show while also being a really good drama comedy, and I think most people could get a fair amount of enjoyment out of it. The creators of the show also made a show called American Vandal, which you may have heard of, so if you enjoyed that show, I think you'll also enjoy this one. It's quite similar in a lot of ways, but also different in a fun and interesting way. I would look forward to a second season of Players, but to be honest, given the amount I've heard about this series, or lack thereof, I kind of doubt that a second series is going to happen. So, you should watch it to make a second season more likely. For a rating, 7.5 out of 10. Alright, well, thank you for watching everyone. This is the first time I've tried out a new microphone. So, I hope it's going well. I think it's significantly better, but I suppose we'll see. And also, I did say I was going to try and upload twice a week. Look, I don't really think that's feasible. I'm just going to go for once a week at the moment, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's it. Subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. And yeah, see you guys next time. Right, so there's so few images for Players on Google Images that I had to use the most irrelevant pictures here. It was kinda messed up.